Hello great scholars, it's Mr. Alan again on your screen. So welcome to our virtual classroom online support. Today we're looking at a very interesting topic. We are learning to explore foods and nutrition. Food is very important to living things and their existence in the physical environment. What I'm looking for is your ability to identify different food groups and functions. Now, what are these food groups? What is the particular job they perform or carry out in our bodies? Let's explore more. So we're looking at nutrition. Can you see these various food materials in this picture? Wow, they look so attractive and so yummy, ready to munch, ready to crush, ready to break them down in the body to release energy. Now, the sole essence of nutrition or feeding is for energy release, because the body of plants and animals requires energy to do work. That is why I said earlier that it is a very interesting topic that cannot be overemphasized. It is food that keeps living organisms alive during their lifespan. Now, I have different food materials making up a very good nutrition here. So choose right and live well. You have to choose your nutrition right for you to live well. Okay, let's get to see the meaning of what nutrition is all about. So food and nutrition education for healthy diets. Why is food and nutrition education needed? Why are we even studying this topic in the first place? Let's find out more. So what is a nutrient? Now, before I talk about what a nutrient is, let me quickly define what nutrition simply means. In science, nutrition is simply the intake of food materials or food substances in form of solids or liquids in order to nourish the body. Nutrients are the essentials for the normal functioning of the human body. They are essential. They are required for us to stay healthy, to stay alive, to carry out our functions. The body carries out different metabolic activities. What I mean by metabolic activities, it involves the building up and the breaking down of food, substances, or materials in the body by the digestive system in order to release energy for cellular respiration. So what are these nutrients we're talking about? They include carbohydrates. I believe that name sounds familiar from your elementary science. Proteins, fats and lipids, vitamins, minerals, and water. As you can see, a representation of them in the picture. Here we have carbohydrate foods, vitamins. Here there's water. Here we have fat and oil and also some proteinous foods and so on. Okay, let's find out more about these categories or classes of food. Now, groups of food. In another light, we have water as represented here. We have vitamins. We have protein, minerals, carbohydrates as you can see here, and fatty foods. Moving on, let's see what we have in the next couple of slides. Component of food. Now, by component, we mean parts of food, just as we have components of a computer, components of the human body, that what makes up a whole. So when we talk about food and nutrition, we're talking about categories of food such as carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates are known as energy giving foods because when they are broken down by the gastrointestinal tract or the digestive system, it releases energy for daily activities. Then we have food rich in fibers. They are also called roughages. Now, roughages are simply foods that aid easy digestion or easy bowel or stomach movement. Food rich in minerals. These are mineral salts. They are not required in high amount but in a very trace or small amount, as they help to develop strong bones and teeth and keep the body functioning. Then we have foods rich in proteins. Proteins are basically foods that are bodybuilding in nature. By bodybuilding, they form tiny building blocks when they are broken down in form of amino acids that help to build the body's tissues and cells. They help to repair worn out tissues and cells of the body so that there'll be room for growth and development. It's as a result of protein that we grow from one stage to the other, as they help our tissues and our cells to continue to replicate and carry out their job or function in the body to keep us alive. Then we have foods rich in vitamins. And from the word vitamins, these are vital nutrients or requirements of food in the body that helps to give vitality to the body. How do I mean by vitality? They vitalize our immune system, And the immune system is that system of the body that fights against diseases or infection or against foreign bodies. We call them the white blood cells or the white blood corpuscles. So they are all embedded in vitamins and they are mostly gotten from various sources. We're going to see them shortly. Okay, so carbohydrates are gotten from different sources that are energy giving. They give you energy to carry out your day-to-day activities. If you lack carbohydrate in your daily meals or diet, then you grow weak and you cannot do reasonable activity. You will be so weak that you cannot move your body's cells and tissues begin to die out because they are weak. So carbohydrates energizes the body cells and tissues for daily activities. We have quality carbohydrates. Some fruits give us carbohydrates. Quinoa is one of them. Lentils is one of them, as you can see in this picture. Squash is one good example of them. We have brown or white rice. Most of us are familiar with the rice meal, the rice grains. It's a very common staple food people eat around the world. We have whole grain bread. These are breads produced from grains like wheat, barley, and so on. Then sweet potatoes is one good source of carbohydrate. Then most of us are familiar with the oatmeal. I guess I can get a yes to that. So beans, we have different species of them. They give proteins too, but you can also get carbohydrate from them. Now I want you to note one thing from the categories of food. Beyond what you learned the elementary science, where we give you the function of a particular food, like the main function of a particular food category or class. For instance, carbohydrates, we say they are energy giving, proteins are bodybuilding, fats and oil are foods that give warmth and emulsification to the body or insulation, and so on. Now there are particular examples of food that serves more than one function. You can find them in two or more classes of food. For instance, you can always say yam is a carbohydrate food. Yes, it is. You can say cassava is a carbohydrate food, but cassava is also found as a roughage because roughages are another class of food. So you can find one particular food material, for instance, that has two or more jobs or functions, so it can be classified under two or more classes of food. In the case of beans here, beans is mainly a proteinous food, but also you can find it as a means to supply energy in some cases. So you can place it under carbohydrates sometimes. Then we have whole wheat pasta. Whole wheat pasta also gives energy. Then we have cereals. Cereals are very common. We'll get them from the grass family plants. Cereals like grass family plant like rice, wheat, barley, sorghum, millet, and so on. So carbohydrate foods gives energy. Let's do more of carbohydrates in our meals. But we'll get to a point where we need to balance it. That's why we'll be talking about the balanced diet. Now, essential vitamins and minerals for elderly people also goes for children too, because we all need vitamins to boost our immune system to fight against foreign bodies in our body or foreign infections. So vitamin E is one of them. We have vitamin K, we have vitamin A, we have vitamin D. We call these vitamins the fat soluble vitamins. What that simply means is that they can easily dissolve in the body. They can easily dissolve in liquids. Then we have the non-soluble vitamins. Those ones don't dissolve directly in water. They need a special system to break them down in our stomach or our digestive tract. And dietary sources of minerals. Mineral sources, like I said, are foods required in trace or little amount. We have calcium, we have magnesium, potassium, we have iron, we have zinc. This is not the kind of zinc that is used in roofing houses, because somebody's mind might migrate to that point. Zinc is just a name of a mineral gotten from eating certain foods, as you can see in this picture. You get them from barley. This is barley. You get them from other food substances. Then iron is gotten from certain food. Even milk gives iron to the body, and all this has as a means to enhance your strong bones and development, strong teeth, and strong immune system. Classification of foods by predominant functions. Now, I know there are 7 classes of food which we mentioned earlier: carbohydrates, proteins, fats and oils, vitamins, mineral salts, roughages, and water. But amongst these 7, there are 3 main categories that we always need. Now, one of them is carbohydrates, and it is the energy supplying food. Example: cereals, sugars, roots, tubers, fats and oils. Then we have the bodybuilding blocks or bodybuilding foods. These are basically proteins. So after carbohydrates, we have proteins as a main source of food or major category of food we need. Examples are milk, meat, poultry, eggs, fish, pulses and groundnuts. Then we have the repairing and maintenance foods: vegetables, fruits and milk. So they're basically proteins. Then we have fats and oils. Fats and oils serve as a means to insulate our body because we are warm-blooded animals or organisms. So we require fats and oil to keep our body warm and stay safe in the environment. This is a pyramid of food, and it shows different categories of food. Like here we have fruits. Fruits are basically under vitamins. Here we have meat, fish, egg, and alternatives. They are basically proteins. Here we have fat and oil, salt and sugar. These are basically fats and oil. Here we have milk and alternatives. These are also proteins. Here we have vegetables. These are under minerals. Then here I have grains. These are all carbohydrates. We're talking about balanced diet at this point. Now, having considered the 7 categories or classes of food, now how do we get a balanced diet? A balanced diet is simply a meal or diet that consists of all the necessary classes of food in one, that supplies the entire benefits we get from the 7 classes of food just in one meal. So this has to do with a strategic planning on what your food or diet should contain for your breakfast, lunch, or for your dinner or supper. Now, it means selecting or picking substances from different categories that will make up a holistic meal that will give you a balanced diet. So, like I said, a balanced diet will give you all the nutrients you can get from the 7 classes of food combined in one or together. So, if you look at this combination here, you have carrots, grains, meat, you have peas, you have fruits. Now, if you put all this together and you have a taste of them, you have a balanced diet because it supplies you all the required nutrients and makes up a balanced diet. So this is just a pie chart showing the percentage for each serving of food in terms of carbohydrates. Here 70% because we have to do more of carbohydrates. Then we have to do 20% of protein and fats because they are not required in so much quantity as carbohydrates. Then we can do 10% of other traits like foods like minerals, like raw veggies, water, and so on. It's just 10%. But the major source of food we need is carbohydrates, followed by protein and fats and oil. This is also explaining further about balanced diet. So you can study the percentage of each category of food stated here, connect it with what I said earlier about balanced diets. So this is also depicting balanced diet. You can try to categorize this into the 7 classes of food on your own as a task or as an activity in order to test how well you've understood the class of food and where they fall. Basically, it's based on what they provide. Then let's look at deficiency when we don't get certain nutrients in our body. Like kwashiorkor in this picture as seen, represented by this boy with a protruded belly. Kwashiorkor is caused by inadequate amount of proteins in the body. This disease is usually found in countries where good food is not readily available. So when you have insufficient amount of protein in your food, what you get is kwashiorkor. This is another picture showing the condition. It's not a very good condition for a child at all. So let's get adequate balanced diet to avoid all these issues. We have obesity, where someone becomes excessively fat by adding extra flesh due to the deposit of too much fat in the body. You can see here this young boy has a protruded belly and twisted cavities all around. It's called obesity. So this is another condition of obesity, as you can see. So our next topic will be drugs and substances abuse. Watch out for it. I hope you found this lesson interesting. Do well to ask me questions in areas you're not clear. At this point, I want to thank you for your audience, and I'll see you in my next learning segment. Bye for now. I'm Zoologist Alan.